Hello everyone, welcome back to Which is the Moon. I'm your Monday hostess, Natalie. Today's topic, or this week's topic, is indoor versus outdoor rituals. So I thought that in homage to the outdoors and nature, I would go ahead and record this video outside. I don't know if you can tell, let me see if I can angle the camera up a little bit. It is very, very sunny. It's very hot today. It's in the 90s, but it feels like it's 111 according to the heat index. And we've got some rain supposedly moving its way in, but can't come fast enough in my book. So, but since I am outdoors today, the camera may be a little bit shaky. If you hear rumbles of thunder, it's just Mother Nature teasing us. Okay, so again, this week's topic is indoor versus outdoor ritual. So I'm going to tell you just my perspectives, having done both indoor and outdoor rituals. Most of what I do is indoor ritual because I have a portable altar. It breaks down. It's a big 3x3 table that I slot together with it. It's wooden. It's all wooden. There's no metal. It slots together, and I put it together, and then I take it apart and put it away. So when I'm doing a grand ritual for Sabbat, I'm doing my rituals in the garage because it's safest. There's nothing to catch fire from the candles, for the elemental candles that I put out. I have a fire extinguisher. So most of my rituals are done indoors. Plus, I perform my grand ritual skyclad, so you know the neighbors might complain if I was outdoors doing that. Yeah, I think so. So anyway, no one wants to see that, trust me. But some of the major reasons you might choose to do ritual out of doors is to get a better connection with nature. Okay, so in terms of the way you conduct ritual indoor versus outdoor, there's really not a lot of difference. You're going to follow the same format. You're going to use the same words. If you cast circle, you're going to cast circle exactly the same way you would. Now, one of the nice things about nature is that you can find what are called natural altars. In other words, maybe a tree stump that's large enough to use as an altar. And that's a very nice kind of touch. You know, it really puts you in touch with nature, and that's one of the benefits to doing outdoor ritual. Some of the drawbacks to doing outdoor ritual are, depending on where you are, it could be very wet, it could be very warm, it could be very cold. Here in Texas, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm just like, I am very warm right now. It's ridiculously hot here. So outdoor ritual is really kind of miserable in the summertime. I love to do it in the fall and in the spring. Fall particularly. Fall is when I come to life. I love the fall. I live for the fall. And so I love to do outdoor ritual in the fall when I can. And I'll usually do smaller rituals like some spellcraft and stuff. I may come out and use my table. Again, some of the reasons you may not want to do that is if you perform ritual skyclad, you may have to be robed or your neighbors might complain. Another issue with it is, you know, if you are having candles and it's windy, the wind's either going to blow your candles out or blow them over, which could cause a fire hazard. If you're out in the woods and you're doing a ritual, you need to be careful and look for legal reasons why you may not be able to conduct ritual outdoors. In terms of, is there a burn ban in your area? Are there regulations if you're doing it in a park, you know, or someplace like that? Are you in a park? How do you know? You don't want to get yourself in trouble with park rangers and that kind of thing. But it does give you a beautiful connection to nature, and to me, nature is my church. It's very natural to want to do ritual out where you are in the elements and you can call upon the elements and you can feel the wind blowing when you call upon it and that kind of thing. The problem is, again, if you've got candles, it can blow your candles out, which could affect your spellcraft if your candle is key to that, things like that. So in terms of indoor ritual, where have I seen more outdoor ritual done is more with covens. Now, I don't know if that's always the case or if that's just the way it's portrayed in the images that I've seen, but it seems to me that outdoor ritual is more conducive when you have a large group, which is great because there's more room, obviously, to conduct ritual. So the more the merrier, right? Indoor ritual, it's going to be a smaller space. It's going to be enclosed. If you're using incense or candles, you have your own considerations to think of there in terms of safety and movement, because you are walking around in your circle and you're creating your cone of power. And so, you know, you have to be considering your space and making sure that you're not running your robe or anything. That's another reason why I do it skyclad, by the way, because you don't want anything going over your candles, you know, or knocking over a candle inadvertently, that sort of thing. So indoor ritual allows for a more intimate space. You can have a larger group if you have a large space, but again, you have other considerations to make sure that things are not caught on fire or otherwise ruined or something of that nature. Now, drawbacks to indoor ritual, as I mentioned, are kind of the opposite as the benefits for outdoor ritual. You don't get quite that connection to nature, you know, that you get when you're in nature, right? When you are calling on the elements and you can feel the elements and smell the elements and you know they're there, that creates a much richer, I think, ritual environment. But in terms of ritual, your ritual is the same, right? That's why it's a ritual, because it's the same methodology each time that you do it. So that's not going to change really much between indoor and outdoor. The way you conduct your ritual is likely going to be the same. So to me, it's more a matter of personal preference or convenience. You know, again, it's super hot out here right now. It would not be fun being out here in a heavy robe, marching around in a circle to create that cone of power. Your neighbors may think you're really weird, which mine already know I'm weird, so I don't even worry about that anymore. But, you know, if you're worried about that, then that's going to deflect from your ritual, right? Whereas with indoor ritual, it's more intimate. It's usually for a smaller group. It can still raise a wonderful cone of power. You're closer to the altar, I think, than when you're outdoor. You can have a larger altar space, so you can put more on your altar, you can do more work on your altar, that kind of thing. And so there's good and there's bad to both. In terms of my personal feelings, I prefer outdoor ritual when I can do it, simply because I do like being in nature and I like that connection to nature, but it's often not very practical for me. It's very windy here a lot of the time, surprisingly. In fact, I think we have more wind actually than they have in Chicago. Uh, it's always breezy here, so candles get blown over, they get blown out. It's dangerous, and it's frustrating because if your candle's constantly blowing out, then you're frustrated, right? You can't focus on the ritual itself, which is what you're there to do. So I just find that unless it's going to be a simple ritual, you know, kind of a greeting of the season sort of thing or something like that, I prefer to do them indoor where I can be more focused on what I'm doing and not so worried about what's going on with the elements. Now, that's the other reason why you wouldn't want to do outdoor ritual here right now. The flies this year have been horrific. And not only are they disgusting when they land on you, because you do know that flies puke on everything they land on, right? Just so you know that. But they are also just swarms. They're droves. They're everywhere. It's disgusting. I've had 60 million fly swatters going. I've broken 3. I've got to get one of those little tennis racket zapper ones because those are great. But it's very distracting when you're trying to focus on a religious purpose and raise a spell and do things to have 50 million flies and mosquitoes buzzing around you, because the mosquitoes here are just as fierce as the flies this year, and it's quite frustrating. So for me, the preference is indoor ritual because it's smaller, more intimate. It's usually just me. I'm solitary, so I don't worry too much about it. Having a large group, I can set up my space the way I need it. I'm not limited to any kind of considerations for, oh, you know, there's a tree right here or there's this here. But I do like to be out in nature, and I prefer outdoor rituals in terms of the connection it gives me to spirit and to nature directly. Some rituals I will not conduct indoors, like if I'm working specifically with the tree spirits, I will be near the tree, because that's the only way to really, in my opinion, connect with those spirits, is to be in their element. So, you know, in terms of what you prefer, it's a matter of personal preference and what makes most sense to you. In terms of how you conduct ritual, there's not a lot of difference. There's just certain things to consider with both indoor and outdoor ritual, and I'm sure you will hear plenty of opinions on that this week. So that's my spiel. Thank you, folks. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you on the other side.